It began with a promise carved not in stone, but in paper that claimed to hold the weight of gold. For centuries, empires rose and fell on armies and faith. But this time, the empire was invisible, built not on conquest, but on confidence. In the heart of Lower Manhattan, the walls of granite and glass shimmered like temples of a new religion. Inside, men whispered in numbers. They believed they could tame risk itself, measure it, slice it, sell it. They were not kings, not priests, not soldiers. They were bankers, and their empire was the modern world. Yet behind every market boom, every skyscraper skyline, there lies an unspoken truth. Money is not wealth. It's faith disguised as arithmetic. When the world lost gold, it didn't lose its foundation. It simply found a new god, Wall Street. This is the hidden history of how a handful of financiers turned trust into currency, debt into power, and belief into empire. To understand how it began, we return to a time before skyscrapers, before America itself. The 17th century. In London's dark alleys and Dutch counting houses, merchants faced a problem as old as trade itself: how to move wealth without moving gold. Gold was heavy, finite, and slow. But paper could move faster than ships. And so they wrote promises, notes that said, "I owe you gold." At first, these were temporary, but over time, the notes themselves began to trade. Faith replaced metal, trust replaced substance. Centuries later, the same illusion would travel across the Atlantic to a new world obsessed with freedom, opportunity, and profit. In 1792, beneath a buttonwood tree on Wall Street, 24 brokers signed an agreement. It was simple. They would trade securities among themselves at fixed commissions. No one noticed then, but that small handshake created more than a market. It created a machine that would one day command the world's economy. By the 19th century, Wall Street had become the nervous system of the American experiment. Every bond sold, every stock issued, every ounce of speculation fueled a single idea: that wealth could be made from the future itself. They didn't mine gold, they mined belief. The age of finance had begun. The Civil War turned paper money into a national necessity. To fund armies, the government printed greenbacks, unbacked by gold, backed only by confidence. It worked. The country survived. But something deeper changed. The seed of modern capitalism had been planted. Money no longer needed gold to exist. It only needed faith and a ledger. By the dawn of the 20th century, the skyscrapers on Wall Street weren't monuments to trade. They were cathedrals of trust. And the high priests were investment bankers, men like J.P. Morgan, whose very name could stop a panic or start a boom. But faith, once industrialized, becomes addiction. And every addiction demands a crash. The panic of 1907 was the moment faith faltered. Banks failed, fortunes evaporated overnight, and crowds gathered outside locked doors. In the chaos, one man stepped forward, J.P. Morgan. He used his own fortune to stabilize the system. He acted like a central bank before one existed. But his power frightened even the powerful. By 1913, the Federal Reserve was born, a system designed to regulate credit, control inflation, and stabilize the economy. In truth, it transferred the power once held by kings into the hands of bankers. Money was no longer physical. It was conceptual, issued, not discovered. The alchemy was complete. The Great Depression struck like divine retribution. The stock market crash of 1929 exposed the fragile illusion: too much debt chasing too little reality. Factories closed, farmers starved, and paper wealth turned to dust. But from the rubble, Wall Street learned something terrifying: belief could be rebuilt. In 1944, the world met in Bretton Woods. Nations agreed to tie their currencies to the US dollar and the dollar to gold. America became the financial anchor of civilization. But as the Cold War deepened, the anchor became a burden. The US printed dollars faster than it mined gold to cover the costs of war, technology, and dominance. Then in 1971, the illusion snapped. President Nixon closed the gold window. From that moment, money was backed by nothing but faith in the United States itself. And once again, Wall Street adapted. Traders replaced vaults with terminals. The hum of telegraphs turned into the flicker of screens. Numbers replaced notes. Information became the new gold. By the 1980s, deregulation and globalization turned Wall Street into the heart of a global casino. Derivatives, leverage, futures, complex words for one simple idea: profit from prediction. The empire expanded beyond borders. Every nation, every market, every government debt was woven into one network, a web of finance spinning faster than any politician could control. It was no longer just an American story. It was human civilization quantified. By the 1990s, Wall Street's reach extended into everything: housing, technology, even war. The line between Washington and finance blurred until it vanished. Banks didn't just manage risk, they created it. Each crisis became a transfer, wealth moving upward, losses moving downward. And each bailout deepened the illusion that the system was too important to fail. Then came 2008. The housing market collapsed under the weight of its own speculation. Trillions vanished, millions lost homes. But the architects of the system walked away stronger. The empire didn't fall, it evolved. The Federal Reserve printed trillions in digital dollars. Interest rates dropped to zero. And faith, the very thing that had built Wall Street, was once again weaponized to save it. Money was now pure abstraction, a pulse of electrons across screens. Yet it still governed the lives of billions. The true secret of Wall Street was never greed. It was alchemy, the transformation of nothing into something, of belief into debt, of promises into control. Every dollar is born as debt, a contract demanding repayment with interest that never existed before. To sustain it, new debt must always be created. And thus, the empire feeds on perpetual expansion of markets, of consumption of us. This is not capitalism. It's a religion of credit, where confidence is currency and collapse is sacrilege. Wall Street didn't build America's economy. It built America's dependence. The invisible machinery, derivatives, bonds, liquidity injections are the liturgy of faith. Each crisis renews the religion. Each bailout is confession. And every generation is baptized in the same illusion, that progress requires debt and freedom requires control. Today, the trading floors are silent. Algorithms hum in the darkness, executing billions in microseconds. No shouts, no handshakes, no paper. Only data. We tell ourselves we are free from gold, yet chained to something far stronger, the belief that numbers define value. The empire still stands, not in stone or steel, but in confidence. Its capital is not New York nor Washington, it is trust itself. And like every empire in history, it survives only as long as its citizens continue to believe. So we must ask, who truly controls faith? Because when faith becomes currency, and currency becomes control, the empire no longer needs walls. It only needs us. The gold is gone, but the faith remains.